Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So I finally got a chance to listen to Jay-Z's 444 album, and I just wanted to take some brief moments to provide a review of the album. As most people know, I'm a big fan of hip-hop. You know, I've followed Jay-Z's career for years. So this is something that I love. You know, I love hip-hop. And this album is a good album. Like, I listened to it from track to track. You know, it's not one of those kinds of albums with a whole bunch of skip over songs. You know, it has great production. You know, the album is good. It's a good album. You know, and Jay-Z is at the top of his game with his lyrics. And this album has generated a lot of controversy because he's talked about a lot of things on this album. He talked about his problems with Kanye West on this album. You know, talking about how Kanye West basically went crazy. You know, basically, you know, he calls him insane or something like that. And he also talked about how he loaned him 20 million or gave him 20 million. And then Kanye West turned around and dissed Jay-Z and his wife for like 20 minutes. So, you know, that was real interesting, you know, to hear about his views on like the statements that Kanye made like a few months back. Y'all remember when Kanye West basically went nuts and, you know, started talking all this nonsense about Jay-Z and Beyoncé and all that kind of stuff. And he had to go into like some kind of hospital stay because he was having some kind of breakdown and stuff like that. So it was interesting to hear Jay-Z touch on that. And a lot of these things people have been talking about already. People have done reviews on this, but I just wanted to share my thoughts about the situation. So in addition to talking about that problem, and before I go on to the next point, I'll just say this. As people know, Jay-Z and Kanye West are also involved in a legal dispute over some money that Kanye West says that Tidal owes him for bonuses and all that kind of stuff. So that should be interesting. I will continue to look into that and follow what happens and the developments in that case. Also, something that comes up in this album is Jay-Z's infidelity when it comes to his wife, Beyoncé. He talked about how he cheated on her and got in threesomes and all that kind of stuff. And it just made me think about, you know, something that a lot of people think about, like, why would somebody cheat on a beautiful woman like Beyoncé? You know, someone who is, like, for a lot of guys, like the fantasy woman, you know, in terms of being sexy and all that kind of stuff, fine, and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So, you know, usually somebody thinks that people cheat on someone because they find somebody that's more attractive and all that kind of stuff. And that's not necessarily the case. I mean, a woman can be gorgeous and a man will still cheat on her. A woman can be intelligent, she could be of a good character. A man could really love that woman but still cheat on that woman. And I think that that's especially true for celebrities. I mean, these celebrities have women literally throwing their underwear at them. So you can understand like how it's easier for a celebrity to be caught up in infidelity, unfortunately. And even though somebody may appear, you know, not to blame Beyoncé for what Jay-Z did or whatever, the fact of the matter is, like, no matter how attractive somebody is, you know, somebody could, you know, they could have other flaws with their character that may turn somebody off, you know, that may make somebody step outside of the relationship. So that's one thing. And then also, like, even if somebody has like the best meal, but they have that meal every day, like for instance, somebody has lobster every day, even though lobster is like a high-end type of meal, if you have lobster every day, you may get bored with lobster and want to try something else. The same applies for, like, if somebody has filet mignon or caviar every day, eventually they may get bored with caviar every day, even though that's like a high-end meal. So I think that it's possible that even with somebody as fine as Beyoncé, somebody like Jay-Z may get tired of that filet mignon every day. You know what I'm saying? So that may be one issue. And then maybe it's just his character, man. Maybe he just has poor character and this is who he is. Like if somebody's used to having that kind of lifestyle where they're with all these different types of women all the time, then they may be less inclined to really commit to a woman. And one thing that's surprising is like, well, it's not surprising. I mean, there's a lot of money involved. But you would think that a woman of Beyonce's stature wouldn't even tolerate any man cheating on her. You know, because she could have any man that she wants. You know, I mean, for the most part, like most normal heterosexual men are attracted to a fine woman like Beyonce, so she could have her pick of men to be with. But Jay-Z, you know, he's close to being a billionaire. If he's not already a billionaire, he's a high price, you know, he's a mogul, you know, he's highly successful. They have a child together. So for those reasons, you know, I could see her not just giving up and all that kind of stuff. They probably have all kinds of financial ties and all that kind of stuff. And you all heard the saying, it's cheaper to keep her and all that kind of stuff. I think that that more so applies in this situation where you have millions upon millions of dollars at stake. So I think in that kind of situation, somebody may be more understanding or they may be more tolerant, unfortunately. But yeah, I just had to air my thoughts about that. And then also, you know, they have accused Jay-Z of anti-Semitism because in one of his songs he talks about how Jews own all the property, and he's basically saying that African Americans should own property and make investments and all that kind of stuff. He's not trying to attack Jews at all in that song. I think it's an exaggeration to say that Jews own all the property, but they do, and a lot of Jews do have heavy investments in real estate. And to say that Jews own a lot of property is not anti-Semitic. Just like it's not anti-black to say that there are a lot of African Americans in the NBA or the NFL. It's just a fact. It's not a racist thing to say that there are a lot of African American rappers and all this and that. It's just a statement of fact. It is just a statement of fact that, you know, for instance, you have Jews that are influential in Hollywood, Jews that own banks and all that kind of stuff, and Jews that own property. I mean, that's just a statement of fact. That's not anti-Semitic. It is not racist or anti-Semitic to state facts. And it's like, you know, you have these people that are overly sensitive, that, you know, are finding any reason to label people as anti-Semitic. And this is just the wrong situation to apply such a label. So that's one point that I need to make about this album. Then another thing in this album is this, you know, this whole thing about Jay-Z's mother being a lesbian, you know, basically coming out as a lesbian. So that's another issue that he talks about, and he, you know, promotes this idea of tolerance towards homosexuals and all that kind of stuff. And I think that that's just a part of this whole thing that we're seeing in society, where people are trying to normalize homosexuality, trying to make it more acceptable and all that kind of stuff. And the fact of the matter is, homosexuality is not normal, no matter like how many times they try to promote that it's a normal lifestyle or it is acceptable. It's not normal. You know, it's not something that should be promoted from my perspective. I don't have anything, you know, I'm not against homosexuals or anything like that. I don't think that they should be persecuted or, you know, discriminated against and all that kind of stuff. But I don't agree with that lifestyle. And, you know, I don't think that it's something that should be promoted and celebrated. That's just my personal belief. And, you know, there's a few other points that I want to make about this album. And one point is this, like, Jay-Z basically calls out, like, some of the ignorance in this hip-hop thing. Like, he talks about these ignorant rappers flashing all this money and all that kind of stuff instead of investing it. Like, you had these people putting dollars up to their ears and all that kind of stuff, showing off with money, instead of investing. Like, these guys are not investing in their future, a lot of them. You know, a lot of these rappers end up broke after flashing all this money, just like a lot of these athletes. You know, a lot of these rappers pose with this money, but what are they doing with their money? Are they giving back to the community that made them rich? Are they giving back to the hoods that they claim to love so much and represent so hardly, you know, so real, you know, claim to be representing the hood and all that kind of stuff, but are they giving back to the hood? So you had these rappers complaining about this. You know, you had Little Bootsy or whatever complaining about it. And you had 50 Cent complaining about the album, talking about his golf music or, you know, button down, preppy type music, not music for the hood. I mean, people like 50 Cent, you know, they still are operating on a low level. You know, they're still operating on a hood level and stuff like that. And, you know, he's very immature. I mean, here you have Jay-Z, who's in his 40s. What would he look like trying to rhyme like kids and stuff like that? Trying to do kiddie music as a middle-aged man? That would be stupid. That would be asinine. And I think that it's great that people are able to continue to rap. Because rap is just like, you know, it's a form of poetry. You know, it's an art form. I mean, you have rock and roll stars who sing into their, you know, 50s and 60s and 70s even. You know, they continue to tour and all that kind of stuff. Hip-hop should be able to evolve with people's age. You know, people should be able to continue to do hip-hop into their later years, as long as they keep the hip-hop mature and intelligent. You know, no one says, well, you're too old to be a poet now, or you're too old to paint a picture or anything like that. So I don't think that there should be an age limit on hip-hop, as long as the music reflects that age and that maturity. And I think that this album does that. You know, like when Jay-Z is rapping about his infidelity and all that kind of stuff, when he's talking about race issues and on that song about the story of OJ or whatever. That song also is a great point in this album as well, where he touches on issues of race. So yeah, I mean, overall, I think that this is a great project. You know, it sounds great. You know, he has a little reggae on there. He has samples from Nina Simone. It's a great album, like in terms of the sound of it, the lyrics and everything. So I recommend that people check it out. So tell me what y'all think about it. And also on the album, he takes some shots at Future. So tell me what y'all think about this album. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Peace. And before I go, I just want to let y'all know that I will have some heavy content probably this weekend talking about Donald Trump and this whole North Korea thing. I plan to do a video on Dr. Umar and his recent interview on The Breakfast Club. So look out for those videos. Peace.